Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Boston Beer Company, aka Samuel Adams, and they are headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts, and this is their Boston Lager Remastered. So this is a Vienna lager that comes in at 5% alcohol by volume, 30 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this bottle is, but it does have a best by date of March of 2024, and we're a couple weeks away from March. So according to Sam Adams, we should be good, although coming in right under the gun. So if you're unaware, Samuel Adams has remastered Boston Lager. What does that mean? Well, let's read the back real quick. It says, our tireless pursuit of perfection has led to this remastered Boston Lager. Made easier drinking through decades of improvements, it's the beer you love, remastered. So what does that exactly mean? They're not really that specific. They just say that they've kind of improved the brewing process. It's the same recipe. It's still 5% alcohol by volume. It's still 30 IBUs, but they've improved the brewing process, they say. And the buzzword that they've been throwing around for the past year, since they introduced this one back in early 2023, has been brighter. They say they've made it easier to drink. And as far as I can tell, watching reviews on YouTube and seeing some of my Untapped friends check this beer in and talking to some folks in person about this beer, seems as though it's a little less malt driven, a little bit more hop forward, just a touch. Now, I'm not someone who drinks a ton of Boston Lager. Typically, I'll drink it whenever it's in like a variety pack that I'll buy from them, or if it's on tap at a restaurant that doesn't have a great selection of craft beer, I'll always get Boston Lager because it's always pretty damn consistent. So I'm not gonna be able to sit here and tell you exactly how it tastes compared to the other one. I wanted to do a side-by-side of this early last year, couldn't find an OG bottle. That's why this review has taken over a year for me to do. Kind of got put on the back burner. Maybe a little bit of a, maybe it was me being a little bit pouty and whiny about not being able to do the side-by-side, but here we are. I'm gonna give it a fair shake. In the top left-hand corner, I'll post a link to the OG review that I did back in early 2020. I always enjoy this beer. It's solid. It's enjoyable. And like I said, it's very consistent. So I don't know why they changed it. I don't know why they needed to remaster it, but we're going to see how this one is. We have the perfect pint glass, hashtag proper glassware. Let's give this beer a pour. So I'm curious to see how this one is. All right, so got a nice pour here. Now, right off the rip, I could be incorrect on this just based on, my memory. I did not go back and look at my review. I should have. I probably should have. I did go back to see when I reviewed it, but didn't really look at it. Now, in person could be different on, on camera. It looks a little bit lighter, very slightly, but not much. I remember it being a little bit darker. In person, it has this really like deep burnt orange color. I remember being more like, not straight on copper, but a little bit darker. Clarity through the roof because it is a lager. Good carbonation. They have the nucleation at the bottom, the etching promoting the carbonation. Almost a two-finger of this off-white, almost, I'd say lightly tan-colored head. Very creamy looking. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Very fine particulates. And we got the hashtag, I was gonna say hashtag proper glassware, which would have been correct, but I wanted to say perfect pint glass. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is the Beer PaTroll. We don't know what we're doing here. But yeah, it looks great in the glass. It always does. Let's get a nose. Yeah, it smells like Boston Lager as far as I remember, I haven't had a Boston Lager probably, I think the variety pack in 2022 is the last time I had this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it has that typical like toasted kind of bread quality, little biscuity note, honey, caramel, toffee, like, not big on those notes, but like accentuating the rest of that toasted bread. It's a spicy floral and grassy hop kick. Does it smell a little bit, more hop forward in the nose? Maybe slight, maybe ever so slight. And this isn't super fresh. We're just coming in under the gun here. So this might have been in the, I don't know if they give like 4 months or 6 months. So this is, like 4 to 6 months old. Maybe if it was a little bit more hop forward in general, that, fresher, it would have been better from that aspect. It just smells like Boston Lager. Like the actual aroma it's not that much different than the OG, at least from my recollection. Like it smells fine. It smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. It is different. Definitely a bit different. It's not bad. Like, this isn't, what I do appreciate about Sam Adams is they did call this remastered. Unlike New Belgium, who put out that Fat Tire and kept the Fat Tire name, but completely changed everything about the beer. I was like, oh, here's Fat Tire. Like, that's wild to me that they did that. They at least said it's remastered, and they didn't really change the recipe, but the beer has changed a bit. This beer I always find like medium bodied at 5%. It's nice. It's, it has a good heft to it. You're drinking a nice beer. The mouthfeel, I feel like might be a little bit more carbonated than I remember. Not a lot, but let's say the old one used to be like, moderate carbonation. This might be a touch over. Has a nice crisp kind of, they say, brighter. Maybe it has a nice crisp kind of mouthfeel. It's pretty damn clean. Like, it's quite clean. The taste, I just off the rip, first thing I can say is it definitely doesn't have as much of a rich malt character to it that I remember. And it is a little bit more, the emphasis of the hops are ramped up a bit on the finish. So yeah, at the forefront, I get that toasted bread quality. Again, it's like a toasted white bread. There's a touch of honey and, like, I'd say caramel. As it passes through, I get a little bit like a zippy lemon, like a lemon zest. Yeah, like a lemon zest kind of like halfway through the palate. Then the finish, it's spicy, it's floral, touch of grassiness. It finishes a little bit more bitter though. If the old Boston Lager used to balance this one out, a 50-50 say blend of the malt character to the hop character, this is like 55-45 now, to the maybe 60-40 to the hop side of things. It does make it a little bit easier to drink, especially if you're not someone who loves like malt-driven beers. This was never, again, a malt-driven beer, but it was more balanced. This has a little bit more hop character. This is not like they've taken a Vienna Lager and all of a sudden it's like it's a hop-forward Vienna Lager. It's just a touch more emphasis. I will say the biggest thing that I am getting from this is kind of like the malt has been kind of subdued in this one. It's really easy to drink, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's a fine beer. It has a nice semi to full-on dry finish. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I don't think this is a bad beer at all, but I prefer the OG based on, I don't know how many times I've had that beer. It's been a lot. Maybe not nearly as much as some of you out there who drink this by the 6-pack, by the case, whatever, 12-pack. But I've had enough Boston Lager in my life to know that beer is a little bit more what I like, which is a balance within this style and within, for this beer specifically. This is slightly unbalanced, and it's slightly unbalanced to a side that I would not prefer. If they were going to go slightly unbalanced for me, I think I want a little bit more malt character and a little less hop character. But, to each their own, and I don't know. I don't know how, as a whole, like the general consensus from what I've seen is, again, it's a little bit more, a little touch of a, more hop character to it. But I've seen a lot of people actually enjoy this more than the old one. And then I've seen a lot of people say, nah, this one's not, I really don't want to drink it. The old one's where it is. And then there's a lot of folks who are indifferent. And I think I'm going to be in that indifferent stage or different category because for me, I don't buy and drink this enough to really be like, oh, they've ruined it for me, because they really haven't ruined this beer for my palate. They've just changed it. And they changed it slightly worse for what I'm looking out of, for what I'm looking for out of this beer specifically. It's not a bad thing. It's just, I think I like the OG recipe, or I should say a recipe, again, same recipe. I like the OG beer a bit more. Yeah, so the last time I reviewed this one, so when I did look at the review, what did I do? I looked to see when I reviewed it. I didn't watch the review, but I fast forwarded to what I scored it, because I typically give this like around a 3.75. I wanted to remember what I scored this. I think, and now I'm forgetting, even though I went and looked at the rating, I think I gave this like a 3.7 or a 3.65. I don't think I'm going to give this beer that this time around. Samuel Adams Boston Lager, the remastered version, I'm going to give this a high 3.5. I'll go 3.55. Again, for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of where I land, right? I don't know anybody who thought, again, everybody's different, and the company obviously knows, when it comes to sales and everything, they have their finger on the pulse. The sales I know for beer in general has been falling over the last X amount of years. So maybe they thought, hey, we need to do something with the Boston Lager, but not completely get rid of it. So let's, tweak it a little bit. Not the recipe per se, but, make it a little bit different. Maybe they think most people like, hop forward stuff. So maybe make it a little bit more hop forward. I don't know anybody who ever said, hey, I'd like a different version of Boston Lager. Sam Adams makes a lot of different beers. It would have been cool if they would have released like a version of this. Like, I think they did test market runs of this, but it would have been cool if for everybody, they put it in like a mix pack and was like, here is a remastered version of Boston Lager. Which one do you enjoy? I don't know if everyone would have, said, hey, I'd rather have this over the OG. But again, I'm one person and I can only give you my personal opinion. I'm sure a lot of you over the past year have tried this one. You have your own opinion on it. For me, I would give the OG again in that 3.75 range, and this is in the 3.5 range. It's just, I like the OG better. I think it's better for what I'm looking for out of this specific beer, and it is what it is. 5%, you really can't tell. It's Boston Lager, you really can't tell. And like I said, has a nice clean kind of finish to it. It just has a little bit more hop character, and that's not necessarily what I want out of this beer. So anyway, price point availability, in my neck of the woods is anywhere from $10.99, $11.99 for a 6-pack. I think 12 packs are like the $18 range. Might be a little bit cheaper, more expensive where you are. And Boston Lager, this remastered version. This is, now they call it a remastered version, but this is the version of Boston Lager, has been now for about a year. You can find it wherever you see Sam Adams. If you get Sam Adams in your area, and I'm sure most of you do, this is the Boston Lager that is now on the shelf. So again, this is where I love the back and forth. Post in the comment section if you've had this beer before, if you've had the OG. I'm sure a lot of you have. What is your opinion? Do you like this less, more than the old one? Do you think this is, if you're somebody who drinks Boston Lager all the time and it's your go-to beer, what do you think about the remastered version? Are you disappointed? Are you happy with it? Again, as somebody who doesn't drink it a lot, I'm not disappointed by it, but I'm also not all that thrilled with it. It's just fine. And whenever I get a variety pack of their stuff at times, I will, I'll drink the 2 that's usually in there, and I'll have no issue drinking the 2 that are in whatever variety pack I, purchase going forward. I'm just not as happy about it as it was the OG version. So I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. I do have a bottle of their Cold Snap, which I'll be reviewing next month for Shelfie Beers in March of 2024. One of the few seasonals from Sam Adams that I have never had, believe it or not. We're going to give it a go. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers.